What is it like having depression? Well, I can tell you this much, it sucks. It's like simultaneously being hit by a train, being in a rainstorm, and being drowned. It doesn't mean that every day is incredibly dark, staying in bed in PJs, but from my experience, and I'm not a medical professional or anything like that, I'm not a counselor, this is just from my personal experience, it's not always the super dark days. Most of the time, it's just feeling blah, or feeling numb. And that's not to say that if you're sad, or if you're just not feeling it today, it doesn't mean you have depression. It's important to not diagnose yourself unless you actually are suffering from something. And I think that's a very important thing to remember. Growing up, I didn't even really know what depression was. It wasn't really something that was talked about in my circle, in my family, or anything like that. So I didn't really have a grasp on what it was to be depressed and not just be a sad little kid. Because honestly, depression is something that comes and goes. For some people, it's obviously a very hard, intense time, and it was for me as well. But it comes and goes. Not every day is horrible, and you still have some really good days. For instance, when I was little, and right through my teen years until I kind of started to get exposed to it more and think about it more and just try and soul search a little bit, I seriously thought something was wrong with me because I didn't feel like I felt emotions the same way other people did. And it doesn't mean I wasn't happy or I didn't have fun times, but I didn't get the same kind of enjoyment out of things. I wasn't stoked to go to Marineland or stoked to go to a friend's house. Sometimes I was excited about it, but as a kid and a young teen, I never got that, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I'm gonna burst feeling. I honestly have very few times in my life where I can say I've actually remembered feeling that way, and they've all pretty much been in the last couple years. Now, I don't want you guys to be worried or anything like that. It's been a little bit of a weird week, and things have crept up that I haven't thought about in a long time, but I'm doing very well. I have come through a lot of the issues that I've had, still obviously a growing process. It's never completely over. You're always learning new things and how to deal with yourself and how to deal with your stupid head. Things are getting better. It's really hard to explain it. Depression is like, I'm back. You're worthless. Just trying to buy soup. You should step onto the street.
Why would I do that?
Because you're stupid and ugly and no one likes you.
No, I gotta get home to watch Star Trek. Hey, my teeth are finally getting whiter.
Doesn't matter. No one likes your smile anyways. You're worthless and stupid and nobody likes you. You'll never amount to anything. Enough. I have had enough of these thoughts creeping into my life, even after years of working to be a happier person, doing the things that I enjoy, like this, and talking to you guys makes me happy. It's a lot of work, but it does make me happier. I have always said to people online, to friends, that when you're feeling down like that, it's important to find the things that make you happy and to immerse yourself in them, whether it's a YouTuber, whether it's a game, whether it's books or music, or just anything that makes you a little bit happier. For me, it's definitely Starbucks. I love Starbucks. It's always just a happy feeling for me. Not cheap, but happy. And while I still stand by that theory that you definitely need to keep the things in your life that make you happy, that give you that joy, I've also come to realize it's a little bit more about repression for me than about enjoying things. Because there are times when I have a really bad day or a dark moment, and I just have to sit and listen to some music, or sit and watch a YouTuber that I love that makes me happy. I've come to realize doing that is sometimes more about repression for me. I will completely immerse myself in something like that and not deal with the issue or the feelings that I'm having, which is not a good thing. If there was a prize for repression, I would be a millionaire. So I think it's important to keep in mind that it's not always the best option to just make yourself happy again. Even though it's not that simple, it's not that easy. You have to deal with things, you have to talk through things with friends, with family, with a counselor if you have one. I've considered going to a counselor. I don't know when or how, but it's really important to not just push those things behind and ignore them and just keep moving on, because that doesn't fix anything. That just keeps prolonging the result, the answer. And that's why I am so incredibly thankful to have you guys, to have this type of a platform where I can just spew out my thoughts and talk about these kind of things if I need to. It's a little bit like a therapy session for me, so apologies if it's a little bit too therapy-ish for you. I don't think a lot of people talk about how anxiety and depression are the same type of thing. I know it sounds kind of tricky to navigate your way through that thought process, but anxiety isn't always a bad thing. I have anxiety, and it's not to the extreme that a lot of people have it, and I'm very thankful for that. But anxiety can be a very good thing at times. Anxiety is what makes me remember to double check that I have my keys before I lock my car. It's what makes me make sure that I stay in contact with friends because I don't want to end up alone. But I think depression is an overwhelming amount of anxiety, to the point where you're not just thinking that you need to keep in contact with people so you're not lonely. You then switch to a different mental space where you don't contact that person. You don't text them or call them because it's not worth reaching out because they don't want to talk to you anyways. You don't want to bother them. It's been a hard road for me to walk the past couple months, past couple years, realizing that depression doesn't really go away. It's something you can definitely take steps towards learning to live with and overcoming and putting yourself out of those mental spaces when you slip back into them. But it's not something that's fixed. There are definitely ways to help it, but there's no cure-all for depression. And I think I'm finally coming to a place where I can accept that depression is a part of me. It doesn't control me, but it is a part of me, and it's not something I can just say, oh, I've overcome that, because that's when you forget about it, and then it pops right back up and completely overwhelms you. So I want you guys to know that if you are struggling with depression, especially depression, but anxiety as well, I am always here to talk, whether on YouTube or on Tumblr. I'm on Twitter. You can even email me if you really just want to spew out your story or something like that. I do not mind at all. I love listening to you guys. I love helping in any way I possibly can, and I'm always here to support you. No matter what my headspace is, I always put myself out there for other people, even if it's not always the best thing for me. So don't worry about bothering me or anything like that. Depression can't be erased, but it can be reduced. And that's important to remember, that even if you feel like you've slipped back into it, doesn't mean you've completely failed. It just means you're still working towards getting to a better place, and to a place where you can deal with it a little bit easier. I think that I have exhausted all the things that I wanted to say without starting to cry, so I'm going to leave this video here. I hope that it had some kind of an impact or spoke something to you. Even just knowing that someone else shares your feelings, shares your journey, is really helpful, for me especially. Definitely, I suggest finding someone in your life, friend, family, teacher, whoever, who is easy for you to talk to about those kind of things. For example, my friend and I, we don't talk very often because we're kind of live in different cities, but we have a system where we can text each other no matter what time of day, no matter what anyone's going through. We can just spew out all our thoughts, and we always start any text like that with the word spit. So we're just spitting at each other, and it's essentially our system to know that someone else is going to read what we're feeling and going through right now, and it's not a requirement for either of us to respond. It's just letting out those dark or scary or overwhelming thoughts that get to us, and knowing that someone else read them and knows about it and can help us if we want to, or can relate if we need to, but doesn't have to. It's just someone there, and it's nice to have that presence when you have another presence in your head that you can reach out to. So I want to thank you guys for listening to my rambling about this. I hope some of it made sense to you and helped you even a little bit. Let me know if you need to talk or if you want to talk or anything like that. I love you all. Stay amazing, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! I gotta go watch something funny. Actually, no, I should probably go deal with this.